Hi, and welcome to Fanfiction Eliminates. Let's go. It's a beautiful name.
Fanfiction eliminates.
I don't know. I just came up with a name off the top of my thing. Sounded official.
So even though
Name
this is
subject to change.
even though this is not my channel, I'm hijacking your video for the beginning to say that
Oh,
we are gonna read through an entire fanfiction, one chapter at a time, and we're gonna review it as we're going along.
so we'll
Our,
stop
our
at the end of every chapter and talk about what we read. Or if something so ridiculous happens at a certain point, we're going to stop and be like, what the fuck just happened?
and pretty much our first victim
No.
is a fanfiction called The Gray Area
Yep.
by Firce Potato. Couldn't even spell fierce right.
I know. It's ridiculous.
I don't know who this person is, but
Ugh.
if you can't even get your name right, I can only imagine how bad the
I
actual
know.
fanfic is going to be.
But yet, this thing has 51 reviews, 51 favorites, 88 follows, and about 22 chapters, and it's finished. I don't know.
I don't know. The end is in question mark, so
Yeah, we'll find out.
I can only.
This could go either way. We don't know.
This is either going to be very good, very bad, or very painful.
Yeah, we'll find out.
But the owner of this channel will start things off by reading the first chapter.
First.
So,
And if you
go.
want to do different voices, yeah. Alright. It was a beautiful night in Germany. Streets were busy with people bustling about the Kernstadt. I don't know how to pronounce that, so I'm just going to Kernstadt. And one particular girl began to find herself fall. Huh?
Königsstraße.
Okay.
I don't even
One
know if that's right, but fuck it, we're doing it live.
Alright. One particular girl began to find herself falling in love with the city she chose to study abroad in. She took a deep breath and just stood in the middle of it all, not caring to notice the people who scoffed at her for standing in the middle of the walkway. Vera's green eyes looked up and stared at the beautiful black night sky, then quickly darted back to the buildings that surrounded the quaint area. That's when she saw a museum. As soon as her eyes met the beautiful building, she began to move towards it, almost instinctively. She pushed her rusty blonde hair out of her way of her gaze, and she stopped herself a ways from in front of the building.
Wait. Rusty blonde hair? Bitch,
Yeah.
have you ever heard of a shower? You're supposed to wash your hair.
Maybe it's not rust. Maybe it's just the color of rust.
That's even worse. Have you ever heard of hair dye?
Maybe it's dyed to look like that color. You don't. Haven't you seen
Well,
the kids?
fuck. Is she on the special bus or what?
Maybe she's on Pixie.
Maybe she's autistic. Who
Who
knows?
knows? Alright. We gotta find out, though. Out of the way. Her keys.
Close enough.
Uh,
Close enough to see
oh,
it.
thank you. Close enough to see it, but far enough to still be able to take in the whole thing. Vera smiled as she began to wonder what kind of amazing art such an immaculate building could have waiting inside it.
If she only knew.
Vera shook the thought out of her head and started to walk away, only to be stopped by the view of the swarm of very well-dressed people fleeing the place. What was going on? These people looked terrified. Her instincts told her to flee, but instead she found herself trying to talk to them as they rushed past her. "What's going on?" she asked openly to anyone who would listen. But they just kept running away from the museum in terror. She slapped her forehead in realization of her non-German questioning.
She slapped her forehead. We have to do it. Go!
No. She paused for a moment before grabbing a woman's arm and speaking. Do you want to do the German?
Not really, but
Was ist
I'll
los?
try.
What is los? I think that's it. Ein Mann ist...
Was ist los?
What
is iOS?
Ein
Thank you.
Mann ist
los.
aufgetaucht und hat Heinrich Schäfer
Dear.
angegriffen.
Vera translated her words as she went. A man came and attacked Hirnstern. They were
Die Watchmänner konnten ihn nicht aufhalten.
Mm-hmm.
Run and see.
Mm-hmm.
The guards cannot stop him. Run.
Vera. Ah, crap. Somebody's...
Vera
Okay.
let the woman
Vera
go
let the woman go
instantly.
instantly.
Danke.
Danke, she said, thanking the woman as she continued off into flee of horror. As soon as she looked back at the building, Vera could see a single man calmly walking out. His presence was least to say menacing. In almost an instant, Vera could feel an overwhelming sense of fear from just his gaze alone. He had on a golden helmet and green robes. If he wasn't so threatening to her, she would have instantly laughed at the man's strange appearance, but thankfully, Vera knew better. She stayed where she was, completely drawn to the man, but at the same time, utterly terrified of him. Excuse me? Okay. Only when she heard sirens coming from her right did she turn her gaze away. In a moment she did. A blue light attacked it, causing the car to flip itself over and divert her attention back to the man who sent it. It was as if he wanted her gaze only on him. She felt herself back up as he approached close to her. Kneel before... Oh, I can't even do the voice. I feel like the wrath of all these fangirls are going to be put off on me.
Kneel before me.
Okay, that's better. At least I was doing it. Oh, God. The panicking crowd behind her let out a cry, and she swiftly turned around, surprised to see him standing there. And then back again to her front to see Original still there. Impossible, she muttered under her breath. But Vera was only shown how wrong she was, as more of the people responded to the many doppelgangers that surrounded them.
I said kneel!
Kneel before song! Alright, sorry.
Horrible joke is horrible.
No, it's from Superman. All the Nostalgia Critic fans know what I'm saying. Alright, here we go.
I'm a Nostalgia Critic fan, and horrible joke is horrible.
That credit card. Vera was shocked at how many...
You!
Vera was shocked at how many of the crowd kneeled. She stayed where she was, turning heart racing, hoping that she wasn't the only one who had refused his command. A couple comments there might have helped. But there was no one. No one who was willing to do what was right. No one who was willing to say no to this magical bullshit maker of a bully. At first she was scared of him, but at that moment, and anger began to build inside her. That's the first big one.
The first of probably many.
Probably a lot. Not going to lie. Okay.
You!
He moved his golden blue light scepter, pointing at the young woman. In an instant, he had disappeared and reappeared in front of the determined girl. She blinked and took a step back, feeling her heart.
Are you not afraid?
His voice lowered, menacing still, but if you listened close enough, you could hear a slight edge of curiosity hidden within it. Vera remained silent. Her eyes, which had been locked on the ground, suddenly moved up and met the unloved pair that waited for her.
Do not make me repeat myself, human.
She hesitated. I would be a fool not to. Her voice was quiet, soft. It was obvious that she had been... Oh, sorry. She had been frightened of him.
God, I understand this author is terrible, but you need to keep up.
No, I was just yawning. I'm sorry. Oh, God.
What
was
that?
His smirk widened. His voice had been echoing through his many copies. It was now becoming apparent that hers had been too. Say it so
the rest of your kinds can hear you.
Vera's eyes quickly narrowed at his demeaning request. I said, I would be a fool not to! Sorry. She rose her voice to yell...
I officially lost hearing in one ear.
I'm sorry. To a yell, determined to beat her fear out of her. Okay. Her confidence was beginning to rise as her anger began to make itself known, to not only him, but to Vera, who had no idea why this man had gotten such a rise out of her.
Then why, may I ask, are you still standing? I don't even know if you need a comma there. I'm just saying it because it sounds amusing.
Yeah. Hold on a sec. Alright. Like,
He
that's a...
began.
Yeah, there should be another comma there. That would have been better. He began to circle her hand behind his back. Oh. And twirling his staff like a spear. It's confusing. The interest he had in her actions seemed to be leaking out of every word he spoke, as if he had not suspected someone to be so bold as not to bow to him, like it was a strange thought. Vera bit her lip, suppressing the urge to say what she had been thinking, to which the golden green man had smirked. He had thought she was nervous to answer and would fall back down. Just that reaction alone made Vera snap. Quickly she forgot about all the reasons why she should have been filtered what she was saying, and allowed every thought that crossed her mind at the moment. Because you're an arrogant ass who has no reason to try telling other people what to do. Her speech became rapid and harsh, and the sudden change in tone caused him to stop in front of her, no longer smirking. Not to mention, I have a little common sense to know not to bow to someone I know nothing about. He smiled at that, again in a menacing way. Stepped towards Vera.
I am Loki, future king of your world and everything that inhabits it. He raised his golden stick and pointed it at her in a threatening kind of way. And if you do not bow, I can easily make an example of you. And I think we lost our call.
Huh?
No, we didn't lose our call.
Continue.
No.
Sorry.
Vera gulped.
I know. Vera gulped and broke eye contact she had with him. He chuckled at her response. Fear had begun to creep its way back, dominating what little courage she had managed to muster. She looked around at the people in her surroundings, but then they did not look back. Suddenly she felt a twinge of cold metal under her chin, forcing her to look back up at Loki.
What is your name, human?
He asked, curiosity slipping its way back into his voice. His emerald eyes seemed to dance with anticipation of what he had to say next to the naive girl. Vera Hayworth, she said hesitantly, afraid of his sudden eagerness and twistedly calm expression.
Vera. It means faith, doesn't it?
His tone changed to an almost alluring tone, as if he was trying to talk her into something. Her expression changed to confusion at the sudden salesman-like approach to things. Was he trying to convince her to kneel, or buy a used car?
It's fitting, but you should put that faith in something else. He said snidely before gesturing to the mass among them. Look at everyone else. How easily they know their place. See how quickly they learn how fleeting the idea of freedom is. How it chokes them. They now know individuality is a curse. Your kind was meant for this. Meant to wait for my coming and follow my every move. By the way, lol coming. Be it through fear or admiration of my plans. He turned his attention back to her. You said it yourself, comma. You'd be a fool not to.
Whew. That was a good reading. Vera's hand went into fist, and her teeth clenched themselves together. His arrogant smile and attitude towards her. No, not just her. Her people. This man had been talking about using fear and twisted ideals to shape mankind into his world, shaping her friends and family, anyone who passed by her in the street, were just for his taking? Bullshit. Vera took a long breath and trying to calm herself down a bit before saying what she knew she had to. You remind me of a few men.
There are no men like me.
He said, returning his expression to a bored one. He seemed to be getting tired of her ignorance. Hitler, Stalin, Castro, Lenin, Pol Pot. Her expression.
Wait. Somebody actually named themselves Pol Pot?
Yeah, that's an old, I forget. It's from, it's around Vietnam. It was that he caused genocide. It was not good.
Well, hell. Now I know why they say that when you take pot you get high, because he had to be high when he came up with the name, so there.
Okay. Her expression hardened. I have a feeling you aren't from around here, so I'll fill you in. All these men were monsters, killing and starving thousands in the idea of a better nation, when all they really want is power over everyone. Power that they will do anything to get their hands on. There will always be men like you, those who crave power and make changes that kill millions in the name of for that imaginary better world. She stared into his eyes, showing no fear, hazel dominating emeralds. Men who throw away their lives of the innocents without looking back are cowards. Men like you are a plague to everyone, human or whatever the heck you are. Vera stepped towards him, no longer fearful, and let the words just pour out of her mouth. There will always be men like you, but there will always be people like me who are willing to stand. Her voice was unforgiving, and every feeling of hate she had for the man in front of her made itself known through her tone. I am not afraid to stand up for what's right, even in the face of what's wrong. I will not just look away while others are being attacked, and I am not about to kneel to any person that threatens me. She crossed her hands in front of her to accentuate her point. Even if my kind is fewer than yours, there will be another like me after I die, ready to take a stand for what's right. Voices like mine are never silenced. Vera stared back at Loki's eyes, only to see them move to his left. She turned her head, surprised to see an elderly man stand up and give Vera an approving nod. She smiled and nodded back, and thanking him for his courage. She slowly looked back at Loki, who had his weapon raised at her.
Do you care not if you die?
He said, looking at her as if unable to comprehend her courage. She smiled at him, and one of her favorite book quotes of all time came into mind. To die would be an awfully big adventure, she said, opening her arms, getting ready to accept it. Only to be... I'm sorry, can you just picture that?
Yeah.
Someone's threatening her and she's like... Ah!
Someone's threatening her.
Little Mermaid moment?
No,
like Little Mermaid moment?
Someone's threatening her and she's like, my precious!
Care Bear stare! Okay, sorry.
She'll be like Mati and yell heart, expecting it to do
heart! Blah, blah, blah. Sorry. The laptop. Alright. Okay, whoa.
She said opening her arms, getting ready to accept it.
Okay, only to be surprised at how Loki smiled at what she had said and begun to laugh. Oh, sorry. She blinked and stared at him, puzzled, as if...
God, am I the only one who's paying attention to where we
I'm not. It's hard. Okay, my laptop keeps moving up as it turns into a mad giggle.
You know, I have yet to meet a human like you. He said after a while, grinning at her. I think a better fate would be more suiting for a mortal of your kind. His staff glowed blue as he raised it up, seemingly aiming for her heart. Her eyes widened as he began to strike, only to be even more surprised to see a sudden flash of red, white, and blue in front of her while hearing a clang of metal.
Before her stood Captain America, blocking Loki's attack from hitting her and sending him flying back to the ground. Captain gave her a wink before walking away from her and towards him.
This little lady's right, you know. The last time I was in Germany...
I could have done him.
Fuck you. This little lady is right, you know. The last time I was in Germany, I saw a man stand above everyone else. We ended up disagreeing.
Captain voice. A superhero had defended her. Not just any superhero. The first superhero. Vera placed her hand on her head and rubbed it, trying to recover the little sanity she had left.
The soldier.
Loki's voice drew her eyes back to him, cautious, still fearing the fate he had in mind for her earlier. The man out of time.
The man out of time. He smiled as he stood back up, as if it was just a misstep. She found herself looking for a way out, but the doppelganger still stood guard, some eyeing Vera, some eyeing Captain.
I'm not the
one who's out of time. Captain's helicopter like jet dropped down behind us, pulling a gun out below it. A
I got
woman's
this.
voice came out of its speakers.
Loki, drop the weapons and stand down.
It was calm, cool, and concise. Vera found herself wishing she had the same amount of control.
A wave of blue energy flashed past her, and at the jet, bringing Vera's thoughts back to the problem that was at hand. The aircraft had easily dodged the attack. Vera looked over at Captain in time to see him toss his shield and attack Loki while the crowd ran amok. Vera stayed put against her better instinct and decided to watch them fight. It seems like they had been dancing. They moved so quickly, dodging one another, trying not to lay a blow. She was in trance. They made it look easy. Could she ever do something like that? Ma'am, you should go. Captains yell at her, woke her from her daze. It's not safe for you.
She has a way of stepping where she doesn't belong, it seems. Loki said, snickering at Vera.
Vera frowned and crossed her arms, still refusing to move and make Loki think that she was a coward. Captain stopped to look at her again, but as he tried to yell once more for her to leave, he was interrupted by a jab from Loki that sent him, the flag-wearing man, flying. She bit her lip. Maybe it was time to go. But the doppelganger appeared to her right and grabbed her arm, stopping her from leaving.
You wouldn't want to miss the show now, would you?
She stared at him in horror before looking back at the real Loki and Captain. As he was getting up, Loki grabbed his head and tried to force it down.
Kneel, he said. Not today, Captain said, kicking him, sending him back.
The fighting continued, and Vera watched, seeming she had been forced to now. She looked up to see the jet circling around, seemingly trying to get a hold of Loki. Out of nowhere, a rock song began to play out of the PA system. Both Loki and the Captain looked up out of curiosity and stopped fighting. Soon enough, Vera saw Iron Man come down from the sky and blast Loki with an attack, sending the evil man back to the ground and causing the doppelganger to disappear. She watched in awe as Tony pulled out all of his weapons and pointed them at them. Vera slowly walked to where him and the captain were, solely to be able to stand behind them for protection. Loki slowly sat up, his eyes darting to her, then Stark, before the tech genius could make his snide remark.
Make a move, reindeer games.
Damn it! He said sarcastically. To Vera's surprise, he backed down and his golden armor disappeared in golden aura. As it did, Vera found herself stepping closer to the captain, who gave her a small nod that it was okay. Loki raised his hands in surrender as Iron Man put his weapons down.
Mr. Stark? Captain said, nodding to him. Captain? Stark replied back before turning his attention to the small woman cowering behind him. Who's she? She stood up to me. Loki spoke up for her in a rather annoyingly influential way. I can't say I know, ma'am. Could I ask for your name?
He said, turning to Vera, giving her a small smile after ignoring Loki. Vera Hayworth, he said meekly, avoiding Loki's gaze.
Why does that name sound familiar?
Tony asked himself. I was one of the kids you were given a chance to earn a scholarship to study all expense paid to a university of my choosing, she said, smiling at him. Stark Scholarship. You picked my essay out of the upper thousand, sir.
Ah, that's why. Nice to actually meet you then. I think Pepper actually got me to read yours, he said bluntly. Just tell me you didn't pick a liberal arts degree.
Vera couldn't help but laugh at that. No, I just chose the arts. Metalwork, actually. That was her essay. That was what her essay was about. She could remember writing it yesterday. Bending, fashioning something, and making it your own. She described her process in delicate detail, which she assumed must have attracted Tony to it.
Why are you still here, though?
Tony asked her, breaking her flashback. I stayed for the fight out of curiosity, she said, quietly watching as Loki's smile widened at her regain of panic. And when I tried to leave, I was, grabbed. For that I don't know. If I want to know... Oh, for that I don't know if I want to know why. She found herself stepping closer again to the captain, who was now glaring at Loki. His smile fell as he saw her only inches away from the brightly colored man, and eyes narrowed before he looked back at Stark.
Shouldn't we be off then? Now, before anything else, and when I tried to leave, I was well grabbed. Bad touch, bad touch, bad touch.
What do you mean? Oh, that, yeah. I thought you were saying that was a bad writing, the way you said it. It was like...
No, bad touch, bad touch.
Alright, well, what do you think? What do you think of the first chapter?
Pika?
Where'd he go? He will... Pika!
Pika!
Pikachu!
That's my other ear.
Sorry.
Okay, I'm here. What's going on? What?
Were you listening?
Yeah, totally. What's going on?
Alright, so what do you think of the first chapter?
Quite an interesting chapter. Like, the story is amazing, and I'm kind of intrigued.
Okay,
what's
so
going to happen.
Wait, what happened
Yeah.
in the first
What
chapter?
happened? We gotta test this.
Wait, what do you mean you gotta test this?
What
happened in the
happens?
first chapter?
There's this Vera dude, and some
What
sort of
gender is
god.
I
Vera.
don't know, Sammy, shut up.
What gender is Vera?
Female.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, what else should I say? She fell into a dimension and she popped out of Neverland and she was just trying to follow the yellow brick road and it was amazing. So yeah.
So
Great
who
story.
pulled her into this dimension?
Just
The Bad Hatter or the Mad Hatter or whatever his fucking name is.
We're not watching Batman, goddammit. Now,
Seems
what
like
really
Batman.
happened?
And then some god started talking to that girl,
What was the god's name?
Exodia. And Exodia said...
I think I like Pika's version a bit more. Somebody should write it. Somebody should write a fanfiction of this fanfiction. That involves Wonderland and Exodia.
And Exodia said he would grant her any wishes that she wanted, and she wanted to go home. Apparently he couldn't grant that.
Did she click her heels 3 times?
Wait, we're not even on chapter 2. Why are you saying... But yeah, that was the gist of chapter 1.
Okay.
Like,
We'll hear more from Pika next time. Silver, do you want to hear my opinion first, or do you want to do your opinion?
Do your opinion first, because I'm still mesmerized over this whole Exodia being a genie thing.
Yeah. Well, this is... I mean, out of some of the fanfics I've seen, I mean, compared to My Immortal, this is basically,
Compared to
Great
My Immortal, this is
Expectations.
Shakespeare.
This is Shakespeare. But at the same time, there's many grammatical errors. We don't see much personality with Vera other than the fact that she is has trouble controlling her anger. But that doesn't necessarily not make her a Mary Sue. We'll have to see if she's one of those, because that is whenever somebody puts their own character into it, that is normally what happens.
And
That's all I gotta say.
for the record, what is a Mary Sue?
A Mary Sue, if you aren't familiar with it, is somebody who is just plain. They don't have many personality traits. They're just in the story because they're a character. Most likely it's because of the author not treating the character as if it's a person, just a persona of themselves or just a persona. And that'll either be a stereotype or just basically a Bella from Twilight.
yeah, we don't watch Twilight.
Ever.
Ever.
Mention Bella in an Avengers fanfic.
I didn't mention it wasn't in there. I was just saying, a Mary Sue is basically Bella Swan. You asked me to define it. You read what you sow. Alright, sir. Stop procrastinating. Let's hear your opinion.
I think Loki / Exodia needs to win an Academy Award for his performance. Just saying.
Yes. Sure. Best voice actor.
I also think that apart from some minor grammatical issues, the first chapter actually was not that bad. Pretty well detailed for all things considered. Although, I don't really like how this random person out of nowhere gets in the middle of one of the best scenes in Avengers. So it's going to take me a while to get over that, because that could very easily just become a fuck you type deal.
Well, I think I've kind of gone ahead on this one. I know a little bit about it. I haven't gotten too far, but I know in the next chapter she doesn't change that much of the plot. The author decides to keep it cool with that until later, and nothing major plot changing happens with the addition of this character, because the plot by itself was good, and I think the author understood that.
Wait. Fanfiction authors can be cool? What the fuck is this? Are we really in Neverland?
I don't know. Some people can write well.
Yeah, we are. We are in Neverland. And by the way, I gotta mention that this story is way better than any story that was made by Sora, because it doesn't involve a man turning into a girl, so that's why it's good.
There you go.
There you
Before
go.
Sora actually watches this video.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. No. He doesn't know, Sam.
I'll link him to it.
Though.
Oh my god.
I'll link him to it.
He doesn't have that attention span.
Okay, alright, well, we're gonna end it here, and then we'll see you guys on chapter 2.
Yep.
Alright.
And for the record, I am a better voice actor than Sammy.
You're what?